Well, joining us in studio now for an update on Gautrain, Jack van der Merwe, Chief Executive of Gautrain Management Agency. Jack, every time we talk and I boom the Gautrain because it's a fantastic service. You can set your watch by the time that it arrives at my local station, and I love using it. I get people emailing me and saying, what's wrong with you? Don't you know that we're all paying for this? We as taxpayers are paying for it, and that in fact the money could have been spent better elsewhere, and the middle class is happy but the rest of South Africa isn't. If I get it, you must get it in dollops.
Yes, but I think it's very important. The Gautrain was initiated by the Gauteng provincial government as an long-term economic engine to drive the economy of the province. So firstly, it's an economic driver, and one has to look at the jobs we created and look at the investment that's happened around the stations. We are currently busy doing an economic evaluation of what was the impact, and it seems like about twice the amount of money that we spent on the train is being spent around our stations. So I think there is a success.
And I think from the just efficiency business of all those thousands of people you move every day, if they were to be on the roads as well, and time that you spend in traffic is unproductive, then your economic models might show some very substantial improvements.
Yes. Look, the thing is that we have to move towards public transport. We can't afford to build more roads and just clog up the system further. And the only way that you can make public transport work is if it becomes a mode of choice. Public transport in our country is a mode of force. People only use public transport because they're captive. What is actually magic about Gautrain is that 75% of our ridership are motorists that have left their cars at home and have come to the Gautrain.
And well done in that respect. Something that we've spoken about before is the irritation when you arrive at the airport. And many people who watch this channel are business people. Their flights might get delayed. They get to the airport. 8:30 is a cut-off for Gautrain, and you have to take a taxi or get your wife to come fetch you, whatever the case might be. But you are going to address that.
Yes. What we've done is that we've instituted 2 earlier trips in the morning. So our first train leaving Sandton is now 10 to 5, and the next one 5 minutes past 5, and then the third one is at 20 past 5, which is the original one. And coming back, we've instituted a train at 46 minutes past 8, and then the last one at 4 minutes past 9. So we've actually put in 2 extra services to try and cater for the people. The stations will stay open 15 minutes after the last train either has departed or is departing or has arrived.
So can you get to Pretoria if you catch the last train?
No, we are just running the service from OR Tambo to Sandton. The train doesn't stop at Marlborough, the 2 early trains. So if you want to take the early train, you have to use Sandton as your base and then go to the airport.
And similarly coming home.
And similarly coming home.
So you won't be able to get to Hatfield from Sandton if you get the last train from the airport.
No. You will. The Hatfield station stays open as normal now.
So at least it's one step in the right direction. And how does it work from your perspective on extending hours and when the hours might be extended to the whole network?
Yeah. We have an agreement with the concessionaire, and obviously if he has to...
Who's the concessionaire?
Bombala, the Bombala concession company, and if they have to run extra trains, there's extra cost. So we do economic analysis of what we're doing, and if it seems to be economically viable, not immediately, but in the next few years, we will institute another service.
So how many people is this going to affect?
Well, we have 5,500 people a day using the airport train. We have 62,000 people a day using the total service.
But how many planes arrive after 8 o'clock?
Look, the thing is that there's actually 3 or 4 domestic flights that come in, but then there's always this thing about you fly to Cape Town and the flight's delayed coming back. So we hope to catch 4 to 5 extra flights coming in the evenings, and 4 to 5 flights leaving early in the morning.
How many people who fly into OR Tambo are now using Gautrain rather than their own cars? Have you had any analysis on that?
No, we haven't done that yet, no.
So you've got 5,500 people,
5,500 people
who are using Gautrain?
Yes.
Who otherwise would probably have their cars parked at the airport?
Yes, and who would be clogging up the system. The R21, the R24 carries a heavy load. The R24 is one of the roads in Gauteng that has counter flow and flow of about the same magnitude. So this is a road that is really running at capacity.
Jack, it is one of the big success stories of this province, of South Africa, Gautrain. Are you getting people from abroad coming to have a look and analyze and perhaps seeing how they can implement it in their countries?
Yeah, when I started off, I used to go overseas and ask the people what would you do differently and what lessons are to be learned, and I always hoped they would come to South Africa. Now we have about 2 delegations per month coming to us asking, what have you done, have you run the PPP, how do you do this very complex document. So the World Bank is now sending me all over the world to go and talk on PPPs, these mega projects. So they've sent me to Russia, and I've gone to the Philippines. So it is a bit of a counterflow of knowledge and experience.
Are you going to go to Durban and Cape Town?
Well, if they invite me.
But what about those two cities? You would have thought a great city needs an underground. Johannesburg's got one.
Yeah, I think the two cities which are ripe for developing something similar is Durban and Cape Town. Cape Town has now created a transport authority which is looking at everything holistically, and that's the first step of actually doing integrated transport planning for a urban area, for a very large urban area. So I think it would be not far-fetched to think that something like this would be happening there in the not too distant future.
How long is the not too distant future? Let's just say that the Cape government decided today we are going to put a Gautrain into the Western Cape. How long would it take from the date of decision to the first train?
Well, internationally these projects take 14 years on average, from somebody dreaming the idea until the mayor or the president cuts the ribbon. I think you can do it most probably in 10 years. We've now done an integrated transport master plan for Gauteng, and because of that we will now extend the Gautrain service. So within the next 2 weeks we'll announce the new consortium that we're going to start with the design, and we hope to then run a service from the east of Pretoria, from Mamelodi, running 45 degrees down past Midrand, Randburg, through to the west of Johannesburg to Naledi and Soweto, and that we hope to be planning and finishing within the next 2 or 3 years, and then if possible start building.
Jack van der Merwe. It just shows that visionaries are required in every single aspect of life. Today we enjoy the Gautrain, but if it weren't for the visionaries of those who did the discussions 10, 15 years ago, well, it just would never happen. Come on, Cape Town and Durban, your turn next. That was Jack van der Merwe, the Chief Executive of Gautrain Management Agency.